All right, welcome back to Metropole Television, but more certainly Business where we are concluding 2020 and looking forward to what is going to be quite another year that everybody's talking about, an expected or hoped for recovery for the economy. This morning, we are still engaging KRA and we're still with Charles Cheriot. He's a manager policy and tax advisory, Kenya Revenue Authority. Even before we go to the next part, which is him telling us exactly what we expect to be implemented in the Finance Act of 2020, what you expect to wake up to in January 2021, let's look at what has been the exchequer revenue. And we're talking about 2019-2020. Let's compare that and see exactly where it is that we're coming from. You could actually see that there's that big increase as well, which is why we're talking about resuming back to what was our tax procedures and measures before we get into the coronavirus pandemic. Because you could see the role that they have to collect that money from us. Good performance rate. Let's look at it as well so that we can also get to talk about it. What has been the performance rate of various taxes in 2019, 2020, or should I say in 2020? You could actually say that the custom taxes performance rate has been at 98.4%. Domestic taxes performance rate has been at 97.8%. Let's talk about the collections in 2020. You could actually say that 510 billion, all right, growth again in custom taxes in 2020 has experienced a negative growth of negative 2.8%. Domestic taxes, yes, a positive growth of 4% because we're talking about the trillions that we are collecting right there. And I would like to start with that, Charles. Well, we'll see what your exchequer revenue is. Big numbers as well, as expected, because we did know exactly what it is that you're going to into the financial year 2020-2021. But could you talk to me about why custom revenue is experiencing a negative growth in 2020?
Negative growth in 2020.
Yes.
When you talk about growth, we are actually, these are projections always that we do have.
Yes.
So, the negative, the issue is not actually a negative growth per se, because we always find when we do projections, we are saying that we are going to grow our revenue pace at the rate of 10% or 20%.
Yes.
So when you find that, yes, from the pace, that is where we attained the previous year, we are saying that we need to grow it by a certain percentage. So when it comes to that, we are actually finding that, yes, indeed, we have grown, but not really to the expectation. And therefore, we will actually be able to see most of the time when you don't meet your expectation in terms of the projections, that is when we be able to see that there is a negative growth per se, but not negative per se, but the issue is that we never made the expectation.
Yes.
And therefore, the issue of negative, it is actually connoting something that we are not actually performing, but it is what we projected to attain from what we actually attained the previous year. So the issue is the difference between what we projected this year to attain and what was there the previous year. So the question is that we are not saying that, yes, you can be able to see that like customs duty, when we project that, we say that we attain 98%. And therefore, there is the issue of projection is that probably even the issue of 98% is we have actually grown that by almost we have actually grown our revenues by almost 10%, but we had projected to grow it by 20%. So
Yes.
the issue of negative means that we are actually missed the target by around 4%. And therefore, that is what we are actually talking about. But when it comes to the overall, we have actually grown our revenues. And we, as you can be able to see that over the past years, out of our projections to collect 1 point, we actually collected around 1.6 trillion out of 1.6 trillion that actually projected to collect. So you can be able to see, and the previous year we were talking about 1.3 trillion. The collection the previous year, in 2019 was actually around 1.3 trillion, and we managed to collect 1.5. So you can be able to see that there is a 200 million Kenya shillings that we actually increase in terms of the collection. So the issue here is that negative connotations of saying there is a negative, it is not the truth. That is not the truth. But the issue is that there is a projection, and going forward, but we never attain that collection by a negative of
Yes.
4%.
Pretty much, Charles. Okay, let's talk about the bigger news, therefore, that everybody is waiting for when it comes to tax and tax measures in the country. Now, we do know that the Finance Act of 2020 is going through a step-by-step implementation from your end as well. So let's address that. What is contained in the Finance Act of 2020 that we do expect to be fully implemented as from the 1st of January 2021?
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Simba Elijah. One of the things that we expect in the coming financial year, that is from 1st of January 2021.
Yes.
We expect to roll out what we call the minimum tax. And we also expect to roll out what we call voluntary tax disclosure.
Yes. Yes.
These are the two major programs that we are actually rolling out. I would like to start first of all with the good news. In terms of the voluntary tax disclosure program.
Yes.
Voluntary tax disclosure program is an amnesty program that is geared towards inviting all our taxpayers out there who have hitherto not been paying their taxes and making their correct declarations in terms of taxes. And therefore, the government has opened a window for them to tell them, please come forward and pay your taxes. If you come forward and make declarations of the taxes that you had not paid before, and the commissioner had not discovered that you are not paying your correct taxes, please do come forward from 1st of January all the way up to December, 31st of December 2023. The program is going to run for 3 years. And we are actually saying, please come forward. If you come and pay your taxes that you had not paid before, that you had not made declarations to Kenya Revenue before, then you will be forgiven for any interest that could have approved or that could have been earned by that money, because when you fail to pay your taxes, then it is a debt to the government. And when it is a debt, then it attracts interest. And also there are punitive penalties that are also imposed on that non-declarations when it is discovered. So these are the things that you will actually take advantage of. You will pay your principal taxes, the amount that you ought to have paid, but you will be forgiven not to pay interest, and you'll also be forgiven not to pay penalty on those taxes. So the program is running all the way for all the taxes that you may think about. You may think about if you are a corporate, we are talking about corporate tax. If you are an individual, we are talking about individual income tax. And for those people who are employers, even the pay as you earn that you might have deducted from your employees and you never pay to Kenya Revenue Authority, this is the time to come forward. Pay your taxes in terms of pay as you earn, in terms of VAT, value added tax, in terms of excise duty, in terms of monthly rental income, in terms of the turnover tax. Any kind of tax that is due to domestic taxes is actually up for this window. And therefore, please do come forward, and I will encourage all Kenyans. We are going to roll out the system that the administrative measures, we are actually rolling them out. So come 1st of January, please do come forward. And I would actually like to say that this program also has its own. If you take advantage in the first year, and I thought the Kenyans should actually know this, that even though the program is running for 3 years, but in terms of the remissions or the forgiveness of interest and penalties, it is different. If you come forth in the first year, 100% of forgiveness in terms of interest and penalty would actually be done. In the second year, you actually get 50%. And in the third year, you get 25%. So who would not like to come in the first year? Every one of us, can we prepare ourselves? Let's oil our engines so that we set off come 1st of January. then we will be able to roll out this program. Each and every Kenyan, if we can be able to see that all those Kenyans who are out there who have not paid their taxes correctly, please do come forward in the first year and you get 100%. Then, yes, the other program that we are also rolling out is what we call the minimum tax. Minimum tax, yes. The other, that is the minimum tax. Minimum tax is a pays tax. It is a tax that is based on turnover. The rate that we are actually using is actually 1% of the turnover, which is actually a very minimum rate, where we are saying that for those people who are paying installment taxes, or those people who are paying installment taxes or who are paying their taxes under the income tax regime, those people, please do come forward and make your payment of taxes come from 1st of January. And then this kind of tax is actually based on turnover in the first year or in the first quarter, which is payable in the first quarter on fourth month. We also have payment in the 6th month of your financial year, and then a 9th month, and also we have it on the 12th month. And what I would actually like to say is that this is a measure of tax that is going to revolutionize our tax system, because what we actually find is that every person who is in business, the question would be, if you are in business and you have been making losses over a very long period of time, how do you continue again? How do you continue being in business and you are not paying any tax to the government? You are actually enjoying our roads. You are traveling on our roads. You are enjoying the physical infrastructure that the government has put in place. You are enjoying the security that the government has actually put in place. And therefore, when you are sleeping at night, you don't have any problem because you know that your security is guaranteed. But the question is, do you also support the government in actually in the provisions of these services? So we are actually encouraging even those people who have not actually been paying taxes before. This is the kind of tax now that will be able to net them. If you have been in loss situations, you actually pay what we call a pays tax, 1% of turnover, and that is a very minimal rate compared to the 30%. And therefore, or the other rates, 30%, you find the monthly rental income is 10%. And therefore, you find 1% is actually a very minimal tax. Please do come forward,
Yes.
pay tax, and this applies. This now applies. The minimum tax applies to all those persons or any individual or any person or any corporate body who is actually not exempt from tax. Yeah, because if you are exempt, then you will not be able to pay this tax. We will not be able to tell you. But it is every person whose turnover is 50 million and above. 50 above.
Yes.
So this is the kind of tax that we are actually revolutionizing our tax system and telling everybody to contribute to the government kit in the provisions of services.
Pretty much. Charles, let's clear this conversation this morning like this, and I'd like to ask you, as a Kenyan who knows exactly how the country views tax or any other economy views tax, are we changing the culture of thinking that tax is a punishment? And what are you doing currently at KRA to make sure that, well, tax avoidance is not a case in the country? And what's your outlook for 2021, especially when it comes to all these tax measures that we want to introduce?
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Simba. The outlook is that we can actually, from where I sit,
yes,
I can actually be able to see that our economy is rebounding. And our projections in terms of the tax collection, given the other fiscal measures that have been put in place, the kind of role, the kind of support that the government is actually supporting the business community is going to actually make the economy recover.
Yes.
And the measures that we have put in place, like the new methods of collections, about what we talked about, the voluntary tax compliance program, the voluntary tax disclosure, also actually ensuring that we support and the kind of education that we are actually rolling out there each and every other day. Like now, when we are here, it is a form of our campaign to out there to tell each and is your responsibility to develop this country.
Yes.
There is nobody who will actually come to support your country as we clamor to clamoring for the government to give us more services. These services are not coming free. You have got to make payment for. The government does not engage itself with business, and that is what the message that we are actually telling there that all these, as much as you would like the government to provide you with more services, then you should also be ready to actually support the government in of those services by paying your rightful share of taxes. And with that, we need actually to move away, if need be, that as we are going out there looking for loans, looking for grants, looking for aid, these are monies from out there that the citizens of those countries are actually paying. And therefore, it is our responsibility to actually finance our own operations, our own development projects, and this we can be able to do if we actually pay our rightful taxes. So in terms of outlook, we are actually calling upon all the Kenyans to support us in this collection, and therefore it is not a punishment that when you are asked to pay your taxes, you are not being punished, but you are just playing your rightful role, your constitutional role, because constitutional responsibility. Even for those people who are actually in Christians, if you are a Muslim or you are actually in any faith, contributions to the government is quite important. Even in the Bible, we are told, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And therefore, it is a responsibility that is even enshrined within the Bible, even in Quran, in any other religion. So therefore, please do come forward and support us. So we are actually looking at Kenyans coming forward, and our 2021 is going to be a very prosperous year. Welcome and thank you.
Pretty much, Charles Cheriot. Thank you very much as well for being a part and parcel of a Metropoles TV Business AM in 2020. And hopefully, we shall be working together in 2021 and educating the public on tax issues and tax matters and everything as regards KRA. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and prosperous 2021, sir.
Thank you. And I will also wish you and all the Kenyans that as we go for celebrations, please celebrate, but ensure that come January, pay your taxes and take advantage of voluntary taxes.
Couldn't say it any better. On that note, we take a short break here on Business AM. But once we come back, Stephanie Waswa and I will be coming telling you exactly what have been the biggest business hashtags for the year 2020 as we usher in 2021. Good morning.